Please, pretty please be patient with me. I'm very low tech and I'm trying to figure out what to do with the friend requests. I know that sounds silly, but I got to get some things figured out. And I thank all of you who have subscribed. That's a huge compliment. I appreciate it very much. I have a story to tell you today. I've been delaying making this video for quite a while. And I'm not sure I'm going to do it justice because it's a really, really important topic, but I'm going to make a stab at it. I was in a preparedness group about 1998, 1999, I think, on the computer before we had YouTube, and or I had YouTube, and there was a member on this group that had an experience that just really, really stuck with me, and it kind of scares me a little bit, to tell you the truth. She was recently married, and she and her young, she was young, and her young husband took a job offer to go for 3 weeks out in the, I think it was in the Northwest, someplace like Washington State, Oregon, someplace in that area, I think it was. And it was a paper company that hired them to go out and put little tree seedlings into the great outdoors, far-flung region to replace the trees that they were cutting down for paper. And they had to just take what they needed with them and stay out. Like, they didn't come back for 3 weeks. They were out in the deep dark woods for 3 weeks. And she said that they fed them oatmeal for breakfast. They fed them rice with a little bit of small pieces of meat mixed in with it for lunch, and rice with some small pieces of meat mixed in with it for dinner. So their lunch and dinner was the same, and they had oatmeal every morning. And it was a 3-week that's not the right word. Expedition. I was going to say expenditure. It was a 3-week expedition. I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. At any rate, they were gone for 3 weeks. And during that time, apparently, I don't think they had fruit. I don't think they had vegetables. I don't think they had anything fresh. From the way I understood it, they had oatmeal in the morning. They had rice with a little bit of meat in it for lunch, and the same thing for dinner. And she said when they got to the end of the 3 weeks, the last 3 days, the last 3 days they were out, they did not eat because they just couldn't do it. They just could not eat. They couldn't eat one more bite full of oatmeal, one more spoonful of rice. They just could not eat. And so the last 3 days they planted trees all day, every day, and didn't eat. So that one took the wind out of my sails. Another one was a couple that was adopting a child, and I think it was in Russia several years back, quite a few. Well, obviously, if I got the story in 99, it was before 99, so it's been over 10 years ago. And at that time, in that area of the world, they had very limited fresh vegetables and things. I think year-round, but especially in the wintertime. And I don't know if it was winter. I think it was winter when they went to pick up this child for adoption. And they had to stay a certain number of days. They weren't there that long. And I can't remember if the lady said she got sick. But at any rate, they couldn't get much of anything. I think the only fresh vegetable that they had was a cucumber, but I could be mixing up two different stories. I'm not 100% positive. But they were in Russia. They had a very limited selection of food. And she said she found a little peppermint patty. I don't know if it was in one of her pieces of luggage, but like a York mint peppermint patty with chocolate on the outside. And she said that was like finding a huge treasure because they had gone just a very few days without the variety and the luxuries that they were used to. And I had a third story that I heard when I was 17 years old, which was many moons ago. And it was about a lady whose husband was, I don't know, my geography is really bad, but it was some far-flung northern location where they couldn't, they were running some kind of an expedition where they were running scientific testing of some sort, some far-flung cold region where they couldn't get in and out very easily. And they had a certain amount of supplies to last them until the end of this project. And she said that towards the end, all they had left in their supplies was just oatmeal. And she said they got to the point they couldn't eat it. So this is the video on appetite fatigue. I'm going to make this one, I keep saying they're going to be short and then I screw up and make them long. But the this premise or this idea was proven again to me by listening to Southern Prepper One when he decided to limit his selection of food to the things that he had a complete year supply of. And it didn't take him long to have the same results. We have such an incredible variety of food, and my family is used to having such a variety of food. We'll eat leftovers, you know, if there's leftover spaghetti or rigatoni or something, we usually will eat leftovers. That's not a problem. But don't the foods I do not get appetite fatigue with are Wendy's chili, because I about lived on that for the last 6 years. I can eat that 15 or 20 times a month because it helped me take off 88 pounds. Hershey bars, because I've had hundreds of those in the last few years, because that took helped me take off 88 pounds. There's a long story behind that. So I don't get tired of eating Wendy's chili, Hershey bars, chocolate chip cookies. I've had those almost every day. Every now and then, though, I'll go a week or two without eating any. I'll just take the frozen dough, put it in the convection oven, make 2 or 3 or 4. And sometimes I make some for my husband and my son. And just make what we need for the short haul, and then they're gone. And if I'm home alone, I just make 2 or 3. So I don't get tired of eating those. There's certain things and peppermint lifesavers. That's another story for another day. But other than that, when we have things too often, we don't want to eat them. It's just plain and simple. I really enjoy eating oranges. I eat those a lot lately. But I think that we have the attitude that if you're hungry enough, you'll eat it. Not so. Not so. So it has been a very important thing to me, goal of mine, to have enough variety in storage. You know, there's times when you snack around and eat a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then you just want a meal. You want something that's got vegetables and potatoes and meat, a real meal. And so even though that's a more expensive thing to do to accomplish in your food storage, I'm gonna try to set my sights on having things that you can actually sit down and have, you know, meat, potato, vegetable kind of thing. Because I think even things like beef stew get tiresome after a while. Hash, we can eat that about once every 9 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. And corned beef hash, and usually want to have that with eggs and toast or whatever. So I think even soups and stews and things would get old after a while. I think chunky soups are really kind of nice to have. And they go on sale really cheap sometimes. So I'm going to end here. Just please believe the stories that you hear about people refusing to eat, and especially kids. It's just exactly what Southern Prepper One said. You know, you'd have a hard time getting your kids to eat this stuff if they're not used to it. And that's all for today. Not for today, all for now. Thanks. Bye.